Welcome to the dinner agenda. This is Bo.
And this is CeeLo.
Hello, CeeLo. Why are you singing?
Ah, I was in a singy mood. I'm
You're in a singing
singing
mood.
because beautiful winter snow globe wonderland outside.
It is. So Toronto and the surrounding areas are getting a shit ton of snow. And I keep looking out my window here. I mean, the wind is blowing so high that the snow is almost halfway up the windowsill, like the actual window, glass window, because it's just
Oh my
blowing all
god.
on that. Yeah, like it's crazy. But we're getting a big dump of snow. Dave has already
Yes.
snowblowed once. He's
I've been out.
taken the snowblower out once and done the driveway, and it can be done again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been out twice and need to go out again.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I don't
crazy.
know how I'm gonna get my car out of our street though.
I don't know either because you have where you're located, you have to park on the street. So you have like permit parking for the
Yeah.
street. And so when the snowplows come, they literally bury your car in. And there is so much snow. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know.
Well, there is a bit of a ridge by where the cars are parked, but generally the plow angles it towards the opposite side of the street. So the
Mhm.
big ridge is not on my side where the cars are parked, it's on the opposite side. So it's not too bad,
Mhm.
but when it's like they can't plow where all the cars are parked, right? So it's all just snowy. And when you're kind of in a snowdrift, how you kind of have to rock the car a little bit back
Yes.
and forth to get
Yes.
it. It's tight parking, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit hard to do that. So you might need to come over and push me.
Okay.
Push, push.
Yeah, in the bush. No, that is an actual song. It is a song.
Uh,
And I had no idea
100%.
that that was an actual song until a mutual friend of ours actually told me it was, 'cause I think
Seriously?
yeah, honestly, she was singing it one day and I said, "What the fuck are you singing Push Push in the Bush?" And she said, "It's a real song." And I'm like, "You're lying. You're just being a dirty girl." She's like, "No, it's a real fucking song." And then she played it and I'm like, "Oh my god."
It's totally a real
Yeah, she
song. Come on now.
also
Push, push
in the
in the
bush.
bush.
But she also told me about there is a song, and I don't know the name of it, but it's about I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You've got a brand new key. Let's get together and try
Yeah,
them out. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm hearing this at her place and she's like, "That's about sex." I'm like, "No, it's not." She goes, "Yes, it is. You got the roller skates, I've got the key, they fit together." And I'm like, "Oh my god." So then you Google it and she's not lying. It's true. It's true. I know.
All songs are about sex. I keep seeing those memes on socials that it's
Yeah.
like the songs that you sang as like a tween or
Yeah.
a kid or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're like, you listen to them now, you listen to the words, and you're
I
like,
know.
I shouldn't have been singing that song.
Actually, there's this thing going around Facebook right now, speaking about songs. It's this old from the 80s. Okay. So these songs actually, I think they're from the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, right? But 60s, 70s, I don't know something. But this new one that's going around Facebook, it's a song that was done in the 80s. I'll have to get the
Yeah.
name. I'll get the name and see if I can actually post it on our Instagram. But basically, the lyrics to the song in the video that's being displayed is, they say she's only 16 and she's too young. Basically, fuck them all. He's ignoring what the father says, and then he's going after this 16-year-old girl. I'm going to show you, a love that you've never seen before. Like that kind of shit. It's fucking creepy because the guy
Ew.
looks 30. The guy looks 30. I know
Oh, that ain't
it's
right.
like it's almost like he was promoting pedophilia. It was crazy. Nowadays, that would not fly, CeeLo, but I'm telling you, it was like, I guess okay back then. I don't know. I'm gonna find that video and I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna flip and send it to you.
You gotta
I
send it
will.
to me. That's disgusting.
I know.
But I agree with you. Lots of stuff was flying back then that
Oh my
would be so be
oh, I
canceled
know.
today. So
I know. It's
nasty.
true. It's true. Well, okay. Anyways, now that we've
Um,
done a rant, what's new with you?
yeah, there's our rant. What did you end up doing for Valentine's?
You know what? It's so funny. I said to Dave, I said, I was on one of the episodes talking with Celia, and she's like, "You've got to do something, blah, 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 blah." And Dave was like, "No, you don't. Like, we've got it down. Like, what we normally do is fine." So, anyways,
Good to
yeah,
go.
what we actually did was we ordered food in. We watched
Yeah,
a movie. He brought home my infamous red velvet heart box of chocolates like he does every year.
chocolate.
Yeah, and you know what? And it was just a nice evening, and it was no big deal, but it was a lovely evening together, and it's what we do a lot together, so, there you go. What did you do?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I always get wifey a card, and I had stopped at Shoppers to pick up a card, and they have in the Valentine's section an
Do
LGBTQIA
do
section.
they
Well, not
really?
section. There was, like, 3 different cards, I would
But
say, but it was
hey,
labeled, like, for my wife, for my husband, and then it was LGBT
that's
plus.
amazing, CeeLo, because I don't think I've ever seen that before, so this is a good thing. This is a change.
Yeah. So I bought a card that
Yay.
the front cover says, "I love you just the gay you
Oh my
are."
god. I love that card. Oh my god, you can give me that card.
It's
I
cute.
think that card is cute. I think that's
Right?
adorable.
Yeah, yeah, you would
I totally would love that
totally
card.
work.
That's awesome. Do you know what else I saw in
Um,
the store for
oh,
cards? They now have
what?
Happy Valentine's Day to my work husband or my work wife. Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
that could be inappropriate or
I don't
not.
know, but I did contact my work husband and I said, "Listen,
Mhm.
you have a couple of work wives here that are waiting for some cards, so get on it." And then he claimed that he was broke. He couldn't afford a
That is
card.
kinda funny. You need to go get and cards are so friggin'
Yeah,
expensive.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Anyway, we went for an early dinner at a restaurant, close by
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
Delish,
Mhm.
awesome. And then we have, Toronto Scepters tickets, so they had a game Friday night, so we went to the
Good.
game. Do you know what the Toronto Scepters
No.
are? No.
What are they?
It's the Professional Women's Hockey League.
Oh, yeah, the PSW thingy that you go
Oh,
to? PWH?
PWHL?
Not the personal support worker, it's
No, not the personal support
listen, I
worker,
watch Real
Professional
Housewives
Women's
of
Hockey
Beverly
League.
Hills, you go to the women's hockey game. Let's just, call it what it is.
You know,
We don't have the same tastes.
I love the fact that we have the season tickets
Yeah,
because it's so much
yeah,
fun, and it gets us out doing something that's like, we go out and have
yeah,
fun and not
yeah.
just carting our kids around. But, yeah, so it was good, but we left the restaurant in plenty of time to get to they play at Coca-Cola
Yeah,
Coliseum by the
yeah.
CNE. Plenty of time to get there, but the traffic and it was not snowing,
Mhm.
like, it wasn't on Friday, right? The traffic was bananas, and wifey has some road rage
Yeah.
issues.
My husband too. Yeah, Dave does too. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
we're driving
Oh,
along, and
no.
it's like and I mean inching along, like, you're stopped, you go a little bit, you stop
Mhm,
again, and there's this car next to us that is not driving in either
mhm,
lane, it's kind of driving in the middle,
mhm,
and Mel's like, "Fuck you," right? Like, she's inching up, like, "You're not getting in front of me, like, you're not getting in my
mhm,
lane. How dare
mhm,
you?" And and she just keeps this other lady in the car just keeps inching up, like, Mel slams on the brakes, not that we were going fast because it's literally inching
mhm.
along, puts the car in park, jumps out of the car, and I'm, like, sitting
What?
there going, "What the fuck are you doing, you lunatic?"
Wait, wait. We gotta repeat this, just a second. Mel put the car in park,
In
got out
park,
of the car,
got out of the car,
and
walked around the car to yell at the lady who wasn't driving in a proper lane. And the lady
Happy
says,
Valentine's Day.
I'm trying,
She's
I'm trying." And Mel's like, "What the fuck do you mean you're trying? You're not even in a fucking lane."
I can so see Mel doing that. I 100%, 100%. Okay.
And then she gets back in the car and she's like, "Sorry about that." I'm like, "Do you feel better now? Because like, who knows? Like, that person could be a wacko. Like, even more wacko than you, for fuck's sake." And then literally gets back in the car, inches 3 feet forward, and then stops again because it's all traffic, right? Like, None of us are any further ahead or behind, for fuck's sakes.
It's funny. I often say to Dave, and I'll maybe start saying this to Mel too. It's like one of these days we're all going to get shot because they get so angry, and then you don't know. Like you said, you don't know who you're up against. Actually,
Yes.
there's a movie. Shit, what the fuck is it called? Russell, is it Russell Crowe? I think Russell Crowe is in it. I will find you the name, but it's oh gosh, Dave would know it. Just a minute, let me text Dave. So
Okay.
listen, it's a great movie though, but it's about road rage and it's about a woman who does something similar to kind of similar to Mel, where it was kind of like getting really frustrated. The guy was at a left turn lane and the advance came on and he was, I don't know, in his own little world because he had been sitting there for a bit.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, he must have heard me. Just a second. He's unhinged. Thank you. It's called Unhinged. And, so
Yes.
anyways, so then she, like, lays on the horn. She's like, "Meow," right? And then from
Yes.
that point on, he was like, "Listen, you can apologize because all you needed to do was just give me a tap, and I would have realized, and on my way, I would have gone. But this whole blaring thing was really rude." Anyways, he ends up stalking her. Oh my lord, Mel needs to watch this movie. Yes,
Unhinged.
Unhinged,
Okay.
Unhinged. It
I'll
was
put it
good.
on the list to watch
It's
tonight.
actually it's actually a good movie, so you guys will enjoy it, it's very entertaining, but holy fuck, do you ever go, "I'm never going to do that again," like, I'm never going to yeah,
Right?
I it still sticks in my head when I think about laying on the horn with somebody, I still remember that movie. I'm telling
The
you.
whole
Mhm.
the whole time, like,
Yeah.
there was probably a dozen times that she didn't just lean on the horn, she, like,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
slammed on
Yeah.
the horn and leaned on
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "You're a lunatic," and she goes, "I'm doing it for good reason. If you're gonna put this on the pod, you make sure you say
Oh,
that I had valid points for being like this."
that
I'm like, "Nobody has there's no valid reason for being so
that's
crazy."
so funny. Okay, so I don't think well, with me in the car, I don't think Dave would actually get out of the car. I don't think he tends to be less aggressive when I'm in the car with him, but when I am not in the car with him, I don't even wanna know.
You
Yeah,
know.
you know what I mean?
You
Because
know.
because he gets set off really easily in the car. He's just like, "Fuck this shit," just like Mel, just like Mel. I
Yeah.
don't know what it
Oh my
is,
god.
but yeah, yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
pretty funny. Well, listen, I wanna know what Mel says and thinks and, like, says to you after you guys watch Unhinged. It's
Okay, we'll watch
it'll
maybe we'll
change
watch
your
it
view, I'm
tonight.
telling you, it's gonna change your view.
I don't think there's any hockey games on tonight. Maybe I'll watch it
Yeah, you
tonight.
guys should,
Check
honestly,
in
but
with
Mel has to
the
watch it.
hockey.
Mel has to watch it with you, and actually is now that she's a driver, if she's home and not out with her boyfriend, maybe she can watch it with you then too. How's that going, by the way?
It's going really well. They spent the day together for Valentine's. He came here, which is, all good.
Mhm.
But then they both work Saturdays, and then she was supposed to go visit him today, but it's just too like, even
Yeah,
if she takes the GO train, like, I've gotta
yeah,
drive her to the station, and his parents have to pick her up, or she's gotta take an Uber, and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"It's just not quite worth it,"
No,
you know?
no, no, no.
No,
Okay,
not worth it, not worth it, so but yeah,
alright.
she had a Galentine's party last night.
Did she really? Yeah? I like
Yeah, a
that
bunch of her and the girls got together.
I think that's a lovely idea. I used to do that when I was single. I would get together with my
Mhm.
single girlfriends and we would all go out on Valentine's Day and we'd go out for a really nice dinner. We'd have a lovely evening
Yeah,
together and I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think they had some fun
I think so too.
at their Galentine's.
Galentine's. I think that's lovely.
Galentine's. What else did I have on my list? Oh,
What?
I know that you're probably watching the 4 Nations hockey.
No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
So, it's like 4 nations versus each other.
No. Sorry.
Finland,
I
Sweden,
think I've been hearing
USA,
something
and
about,
Canada.
that on the news because I think
Okay.
Canadians are booing is that what it is?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
okay.
what I wanna
So I
talk
know that
about.
that's going
I'm
on,
not
but mhm.
I don't wanna talk about the result of the game last night
Yes, because I
'cause
know
I'll
the
start
US
to
won,
cry.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we still have a chance. If we beat Finland in regulation, then we still have a chance to make it through.
Mhm, mhm.
Anyways, the booing of the US national anthem because 'cause they're playing the games in Montreal.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of Canadians in the house.
Yes.
And so there was 2 things. 1, they actually said something before the national anthem to say, "Please be respectful of each country's national anthem, blah, blah, blah," and they still booed.
Mhm.
And then I keep seeing funny memes on socials this morning that says, um, "Congratulations, US, you finally got Quebecers to have some Canadian pride," or something like that.
Okay, that is
But
true because for all of those
right?
listeners out there that are not from Canada, um, the Quebecers, so those folks that are from Quebec, they have always wanted to separate from Ontario, right? Like from Canada, like
I a
Ontario.
good portion of them, I don't know if
No,
all
yeah,
of
well,
them,
of
but
course, there's a very large
yeah,
portion of them that have wanted to be their own what, CeeLo, country with their own what?
country? I don't know, I
Something. They
don't know.
wanna separate from Canada, if I'm understanding it correctly, but I know that they do not wanna be part of us, the general population of,
Right, right.
and, that has been a very long-standing argument. They have tried to make that happen. It's and it hasn't worked to date, but you're right. It's funny how
Well,
this has
yeah.
brought them together to be like, "No, we're fucking
Well,
Canadian." That's crazy.
the fact that the game's in
Yeah,
Montreal, you've gotta figure, 1, there's gonna be obviously a bunch of Canadians in the
yeah.
audience, and 2, because of the location, a bunch of Quebecers in the audience, and yeah, the joke I saw this morning is, "Congratulations to Trump. He was able to accomplish in 3 weeks what every Canadian prime minister has been trying to do for 150 years," or
Isn't that the
something like
truth? Is
that.
that not the truth? Well, I have a
Yeah,
question for you about that.
yeah.
What are your thoughts about the booing of the US national anthem? What do you think and what do you feel? And I'll tell you why I'm asking after you give me your response.
I feel kinda cringy about it, to be honest. I don't like the fact that we would be booing another
Yeah.
country. I understand why people are doing it, and yes, when I go to the grocery store and put back the Florida oranges and pick up the oranges from Spain, I am, in my heart, booing the US all the
Yeah.
way. I have nothing against majority of people from the
Yes.
US, but I think what Trump's doing is total
Yeah.
dick move, and so I get why people are doing it,
Mhm.
and, like, if you've I don't know, it just feels cringy to me because it doesn't feel very Canadian in my
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I do know. So it's
Why?
funny, because there was this conversation taking place again on Facebook because, that's where conversations take place. But that mutual friend of ours that I had mentioned earlier who was teaching me about those really dirty 1970s songs, right? So so I mean, she like we are all I think the majority of Canadians are feeling very impacted by what's happening with
Yeah.
Trump and in the United States right now and feeling a little shocked and betrayed by a country that we actually felt very connected with. Like we felt very partnered with. If there was
Yeah,
any trouble in the States, like with 9/11 or anything else, it's like
yeah,
everybody that I know that's Canadian was like, how do we help? How do we help? Right.
yeah,
And so it
100%.
really feels very much of a betrayal, and so you get caught
Yeah,
up in that, CeeLo, you definitely get caught up in that, especially in the early days, and so there was a point in time where, the national anthem was getting booed. This was earlier on. I think it was one of the first times it had occurred, and I was like, "Yeah, good. Fuck you." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
"Fuck you.
yeah,
Fuck you guys," because you know what? I know not all of you guys voted Trump in, but the fact of the matter is not enough of you made the effort to go out and vote to make that change. Right? And as a result of that, he got in and he is a psychopath. He's a fucking psychopath. Anyway, so I was
yeah.
angry. I had anger in me, right? And then this mutual friend does this post.
I had
I
anger
did.
in
I had
me.
anger in me. Now I say that, but at the end of the fucking day, if there was an American on my doorstep saying I need help, I wouldn't even hesitate. I'd be like, of course I'm going to help you, right? But
But what if they had a MAGA hat on? Would you still help them?
you know what? if they needed help, I probably still would help them. And, like, I mean,
So would I.
yeah,
I would help
you know,
anybody.
but
No, no.
but, um, I did lose myself there for a second. So then anyways, this friend of ours, she sends out this post and she's like,
Yeah,
"Listen, like, don't forget who we are. Like, don't forget what makes Canadians Canadians. We are a
yeah,
loving people. We are a giving people. We are a helpful people.
yeah,
And you're forgetting the fact that there are people out there that didn't have a choice in the matter. And even
yeah,
the ones that did have a choice may now be realizing that they made a mistake. And you know what? Who are we to judge as harshly as we have been? We've had some doozies in covering Canada and Ontario as well, right? Like at some points.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Anyway, she was just basically sending out that reminder of like, don't forget who we are at our core. And you know what? That just kind of brought me right back. And I was like, fuck, you know what? She's right. She's right. Like I can be angry, but let me be angry at Trump for being a dick. But let me stop it there. Let me stop it there,
yeah.
you know?
Don't do the same thing that a lot of them are doing, right?
Right.
And I love that, to remember who you are
At the core.
at the
Yeah,
core, and I think that's
yeah,
why booing someone's national anthem, regardless of who they are, kinda makes me cringy. I don't
yeah,
like it.
yeah, yeah,
I don't like it.
yeah, yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was, again, at the hockey game last night, they were, booing during the US
Mhm.
anthem. Okay, and I saw something else interesting on the
Oh,
socials
okay.
about Japan.
Mm,
And then I started to, like, look into it a little bit more. I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of, like, from last year." But did you know that only 4% of people in Japan are overweight?
really? Well,
4,
that's not that
compared to
surprising because 'cause they're usually really like, Asians in general tend to be smaller framed, right?
well, wait a sec, compared to 42% in the
Well,
US is what I saw.
okay. But
Okay, but
okay.
wait. They thought there was some, thought process that it would be, "Oh, it's in the DNA." Right? Like, some people are just built to be,
Oh, okay.
smaller or built to be less
Yeah.
overweight. But then they looked at a bunch of, Japanese
Mhm,
people and compared those that stayed in
mhm.
Japan versus people who moved to Hawaii.
Oh, they got big when they went to
They
Hawaii, right?
they did.
Yeah,
Yep,
so it's
over 18%
food.
of them. And
Maybe it's
so
food and
the
culture, yeah.
little it's food and culture, it totally is. The little article that I was, looking at the other day was that every school has to employ a
Mhm,
nutritionist whose
mhm.
job, okay, so after this is 3 additional years of
Mhm.
training after you get your teaching degree.
Wow.
This is the nutritionist,
Okay.
okay? Their job is to prepare all the menu and
Mhm.
food for the school, and it must all be fresh.
Sorry, where in
There can
Japan?
be 0. Yep,
Wow.
Japan, 0 processed
See?
food. And that's why they think that education and the fresh food as opposed to processed
Yeah.
food is what leads to the lower rates of
Mhm.
obesity. Um, Rich in fish, veggies, and rice, lower fat content. Plus, they have a highly active
Yeah.
lifestyle that often includes walking due to readily available public
Yeah.
transportation and a cultural emphasis on, um, uh, portion control and mindful
Yeah.
eating.
Okay, so it's funny that you say this, CeeLo, because,
Yeah,
I believe it. I 100% I believe it. I think right off the bat, our bodies know how to digest real food properly. Processed food is
yeah,
where our bodies struggle, right? And because processed foods are typically more highly palatable, we tend to gravitate
yeah.
towards them, first of all, because they're really typically easy and fast, but also because they taste really delicious, right? So you want more of that just by human nature. Even if you look at our dogs and our cats and stuff, it's like the second they get a taste of something that they like, they'll always want it. The second you pull open the cheese wrapper, it's like they're there, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's just nature, but it's funny because I remember, so, like, what, 20 years ago, I don't know, whenever it was, I'd gone to Paris, and I had spent some time in Paris, and
Oui,
oui,
oui.
oui, and the people there, it's funny because they actually eat high-fat foods, like, meaning that they're having full-fat
Cheese and
cream brie
bread.
cheese and bread and
Mm.
wine and,
Wine.
fried these croque madames and croque monsieurs, the sandwiches and that are kind of like bread and
Yeah,
butter, and they're eating those stuff, but the thing is, the portions there were quite small in comparison to North America. And
yeah.
even the McDonald's, like, they had one in, like, oh my gosh, probably in a 20-mile radius, there was one McDonald's, one, and you had to hunt for that. Everything else was
Not one on every
no, it
corner.
was 1, and if you went to that McDonald's, the portions were very small. The hamburgers were the size of what we would call our the cheeseburgers here in North America that come in the Happy Meals,
Right.
not like the Big Macs, but that was the size of the regular hamburger. So the portion sizes were significantly smaller, and just like you were saying about Japan, they walk everywhere in France.
Yeah.
Everybody walks everywhere. So, but the thing is, kind of listening to what you're saying, I'm kind of putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm like, "Well, hold on a second. They're eating whole foods. They're
Yeah.
walking quite a bit and they're extremely social, and I'm assuming that in Japan, it's the same thing because culturally, I think that they're very mindful of being with family, right? And being united with family. It's very
Yeah.
important, and so that's
Yeah.
a very large social support system, and social interaction that they have, and so you put all of those things together. Oh, and in France, and I don't know if it's like this in Japan as well, there was no takeout coffee. If you wanted a coffee, you had to go.
What?
No. If you Now, I don't know if that's changed now. Again, this was 20 years ago. But if you wanted a coffee, you had to sit in a cafe and order a coffee. There was no to go coffee. No one walking around with coffee cups in their
Oh.
hands. So it was that mindful when you talk about mindfulness as well in the eating and
Yeah.
in living your life, it's like, if you want a coffee, then you need to sit down and you need to enjoy that coffee, and then you go on your way. Whereas here, we're kind of like, I'm gonna grab the coffee and the croissant and the muffin
Rush,
and
rush,
I'm gonna, yeah, and
rush.
I'm shoving this all down, and I'm not really paying attention to whether I'm getting full or satisfied or not. I mean, the way that we live as North Americans, let me rephrase that now. As Canadians and as Americans. But, like, I mean, how we live is a detriment to us, you know?
Yeah.
I get why we have plus size stores all over the place, and I couldn't find one in Paris. I You probably can't find any in Japan or very few and far between, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what the other thing that article I was reading said is basically there's 0 market for drugs like Ozempic in Japan.
Yeah,
0
yeah, I
market,
believe it. And it's
right?
probably the same, I would say, in France as well, I'm gonna make the assumption.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I know that the healthiest way they say to eat is that Mediterranean diet, right? Which is rich in fish, whole
Yep.
grains, legumes,
Veggies.
vegetables, fruits. It's
Yeah.
really everything unprocessed and everything that you can pick or grow, you know what I mean, yourself.
Yeah.
That's essentially kind of what it comes down to, and I see the benefit to that, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I
Mhm.
think the part that, made me think was the mindfulness part of eating, and how do you change what you're doing every day, grabbing the coffee, grabbing whatever, on the
Yeah,
run, right? To sit down and be mindful and take the time and I think back to my Atomic Habits
yeah,
book that we talked about before, right? Like, what's one little thing I can change to
yeah,
make myself be more mindful, or what's one little thing I can change to maybe slow down or make a different choice, um, in what you're choosing to eat or how you're choosing to eat
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty
yeah,
interesting, but
yeah.
yeah. I'm glad that feta cheese is part of the
I
Mediterranean diet.
know. I'm glad cheese is, considered a
Mm.
healthy food if you can, I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think it's
Mhm.
under the processed. I'm
No! Don't
sorry.
say that.
I feel like I've had so much cheesy stuff lately because we went out for
Um,
dinner on
yeah.
Friday, and I had a prosciutto, and arugula crostini
Mm.
with whipped ricotta
Oh, yes.
cheese.
Oh, yes. Say it to me. Mhm. Mhm.
It was and
Delish.
some honey
Yes.
and some
Yes.
nuts, and it was delish, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud because it's, like, against my
Mhm.
religion. The ricotta
Yeah.
cheese on
Yep.
top, there was so much of it, I had to scrape some
You're
off.
fired. Get out.
I know, right?
You cannot be my
Like,
friend anymore.
never never in my life would
I can
I
see it. Yeah.
scrape but I'm telling you, it was, like, such a thick, thick
Yeah.
layer, that I was like, "Okay, I gotta get everything in on this bite." Oh my god, it was so good, and I was basically full
I
after
know.
that, I still had my dinner
I
coming, but
know. There's this Italian grocer in Scarborough that my parents used to go to, and I'll still go there occasionally if I need to get, like, a specialty item or so, but, I think it's on Thursdays, they bring in ricotta cheese, and it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
warm. Like, is it so freshly made, it's still warm, and if you get there early enough, you can buy it still warm.
Oh, that's so
You need
good.
to eat that. You need to try that. We're gonna have to try that as a treat one day. It'll blow your flipping mind. It's so delish. Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I want these
I
things.
am a cheese
This isn't very, like,
food-centric.
Japanese of
Yeah, I
us.
know. I was just gonna say, is this a very food-centric like, were we even planning to talk about this? Probably not. But I do have to say, I am through and through the biggest cheese whore that you will ever meet. I love cheese. I
Oh,
just love cheese. I
I
love it.
know.
I often say to Dave, if you can, I don't know, learn how to make cheese and, like, have a cheese farm or whatever
Right?
they fucking call it.
I
Like,
can have a
quit your
cheese
job
farm.
and do
That
that.
fresh,
Yeah.
um, like, fresh burrata
Yes.
cheese or that fresh mozzarella
Yes.
cheese, we've had that
Oh, yeah.
before at a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Actually, you and I have that a
I do
lot.
really
We usually get that fresh
yeah,
mozzarella with the fig,
yeah.
compote thingy on. Oh, yeah, that's very
Let's
I know, that's good,
go.
eh?
I found, the last time I think I was shopping and, we had cheese on the list for Costco, so they have a smoked cheddar
Mhm.
there, like a brick of smoked
Mhm.
cheddar, and if we have cheese on the list, I usually pick up that because it's, a favorite of this
Mhm.
household, and I think it kinda was squished towards the back of the
Mhm.
fridge, and yesterday I brought home some groceries and was trying to put it
Mhm.
away, and I was, "Oh, the smoked cheddar is here. I forgot all about it."
Oh. Is it
Grilled
oh,
cheese with the smoked
stop
cheddar
it.
and a
Yes.
little tomato soup.
You know what? Grilled
Yeah.
cheese sandwiches and tomato soup are one of my faves. Dave and I will have that for
Right.
dinner, every couple of weeks or so. We just love it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's good.
yeah, or any soup,
Yes,
really.
any soup, but specifically grilled cheese sandwiches with tomato soup seem to just be like but we
Yes.
actually I think it was last week, we had grilled cheese sandwiches with pea soup because we didn't have any tomato soup, so we had pea soup and it was just
That's
as
okay.
good, but I'm telling you the tomato soup is like the bomb, right? Like, that's just yeah.
Yeah. It's not just as good. Pea soup is fucking disgusting, but
I
you
love
do you.
okay, but peas are one of my favorite vegetables. I love pea soup. Are you kidding? Really? Oh, yeah, but you don't like beans or
It's
anything like that.
ugh.
Yeah.
I no, I don't like things that are mushy. I like beans that have a bit of texture. Like,
Philo,
if you
you
said, "Do you
don't
want a
like
red ki"
beans. You pick out your b well, okay, unless that's changed, you used to pick out
that
your beans from the chili. You would right?
yeah.
Yes, okay, so,
Okay, can I finish what I was gonna
yeah, go
say?
for it. Mhm. Liar.
If you said to me, "Here, eat this plate of red kidney beans," which tastes like just basically
Yeah,
mush, or you say, "Hey, eat this plate of black beans," I'll eat all the black
yeah,
beans. I'll eat chickpeas, I'll eat all those
I don't believe
things,
you.
but those red kidney beans that they put in
Mhm.
chili, mm, that's just like gaggable.
No, they're
It's just mushy.
delicious. It's funny because when Dave makes chili, I actually say to him, "Can you put in extra beans?" 'Cause I love
I don't all the extra beans, I have a turkey chili recipe, which I really
that sounds good.
like, and I swap out the red kidney with, black beans and chickpeas, and I think even the white beans are better, or the, black eyed
Yeah,
peas,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
those
yep.
ones? Those are a little bit more textured.
Okay.
It's the red kidneys that have no texture, I can't do it.
So, you do like
Can't do it.
chickpeas or no?
I like
Okay,
chickpeas, yeah.
because there is a pasta that we make, it's an Italian dish, And it's so simple, but another favorite, and it's just so delicious. You take those little pasta shells, the little ones that are in the shape of a shell. Okay, so you take
Yes.
that pasta, right? So what you do is you boil your pasta, and as the pasta's boiling, you take a can of chickpeas and you put the can of chickpeas in a saucepan, s- liquid and all. Okay, like just open the can, dump it into the thing.
The
Okay,
saucepan. Okay.
warm up the chickpeas. You don't have to cook them; you're just warming them up. Okay, and then what you do is you take some of the pasta water once the pasta's ready. You take some of the pasta water and keep it to the side in case you need to kind of moisten or add a little bit of
Yeah.
water back in. Um, so you drain the pasta, you put the liquid and the chickpeas, pour it in over the pasta,
Yes.
put olive oil, Parmesan cheese, mix it up. If you need to add a little bit of pasta water, add a bit of pasta water because you don't want it dry. You want it moist. You want it to be a moist
Yeah, yeah.
dish. It is the most delicious flippin' thing you'll ever eat. And if you
I'll have
want
to
to add
try
a
that.
vegetable, uh, my niece put broccoli in hers and it was delicious. Delicious.
Oh, yeah, you
Yep.
could throw in, like, a bag of frozen
Anything,
spinach.
anything. But it's just so delicious. It's so good.
Oh, I'll have to
Yeah,
try
it's
that
really, really
one.
good.
I mean, let's be real, there's not a pasta recipe out there that I don't like. Like, I like pasta and I like cheese. I think I should be
I
Italian,
know. I know. I
right?
know. I hear you, CeeLo.
Oh, so delish. And we've gotten totally off track of being mindful Japanese ladies,
It's true.
and that's what we should
That's what
be.
we should.
We should be eating more fish
Yes.
and less
And
parmesan
walk more and socialize with our
and walk
families
more.
more.
Hey, you know what? No, I've had a lot of family time. Okay, so Buddy was supposed to
Mhm,
go Buddy went Friday night up to a cottage with a
mhm,
friend, and they were gonna go, snowboarding and hang out, and then Mel was supposed to go up this morning, pick them up, and bring them back in time because they had a practice and then they had a
mhm,
game.
mhm,
But given the forecast, Mel and the mom of the kid were going back and
mhm,
forth, and they were like, "It's gonna be crazy tomorrow, maybe I get them today just in case,"
mhm,
right? And so Mel ended up picking them up yesterday, like, around dinner time, and then they came back here. So we've had the 2 boys here and then
mhm,
Chica, and then I feel like with all the snow, it's like I can't get my car out, I can't go
mhm,
anywhere, have a lot of family time
mhm,
happening in my
mhm.
house this weekend, and it is family day weekend, so maybe that's meant to be.
Maybe, maybe. Okay.
Mm. Yeah, good
Well,
times, good times.
on the opposite side of healthy Japanese girls that we're gonna be turning ourselves into, because that is a better
Yeah,
lifestyle to live, there are
yeah.
countries that that love fat women. Just let it know. So, if you don't wanna live like a Japanese woman, you can move
Oh,
to any one of these countries. So, actually, there's a place in Africa, I think it's called Le Bleu? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it properly. Uh, Le Bleu? Anyways, Leblouh. It's in Africa.
okay. Alright.
They, feel that a woman who is, of fat substance is like
A particular
a
fat
particular
substance,
a particular
like a
size. Yeah,
significant.
they find that that is a sign of wealth, it's a sign of health, it's a sign of prosperity and luck, and most of the men, if you're not fat enough, they're just not interested in marrying you. The downfall to that is, to make sure that their women are pleasing and marriageable, they will force feed the
Oh
girls.
my
Yeah, like, they'll
god.
actually force feed the girls. They'll
Force
force
feed?
feed them so that they gain a shit ton of weight. Yeah. Did
That's what happened to me.
that's what? That's what happened to you? It's what you just it's so not true. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. When we were born in that country.
Yeah, I was locked in the
Yep.
attic and somebody force fed
Okay,
me.
so here's an interesting fact for you, okay? The countries with the fattest women in the world are in the Middle East, Latin America, and Africa. So, those are the places where fat women are appreciated the most.
I well, And I wonder,
Yeah,
right? Because I think probably in some of those countries, there's probably less like, the US and probably even Canada probably have the highest rate of
I
processed
would say.
foods, but I think that if it's admired to be overweight, then people are going to push themselves. There's a way people here push themselves to be the opposite. They're gonna push themselves towards being
Yeah. Yeah.
plumper, right? And try and eat
I don't
extra.
know, like, but that's a good question, like, I wonder why in those countries when they don't have as much processed food, unless we're just not aware that they do, but, like, I'm thinking
Yeah,
Latin America, maybe they have processed food because there's been a lot of American influences, right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
like,
totally.
a lot of American influences, so a lot of that stuff gets shipped in, similar to, like, if you think about Hawaii, just as a quick example,
Yeah.
um once Spam was introduced to Hawaii, I mean, it became a staple in those folks' homes, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, they're like,
Well,
Hawaiians and Spam are,
everywhere.
like, hand in hand kinda thing, right? They really, really like it. So, yes, I'm
Yeah,
generalizing, I'm sure not all Hawaiians like it, but,
yeah.
it's a dish that you can
Well,
find there quite easily.
I would put Spam in the same category as red kidney beans. Blech,
Do you
gross.
like
Blech.
canned corned beef?
No,
Steve-O,
ew.
it's so good. You know what? Dave says the same thing. There's 2 things that I have in the cupboard that I will occasionally eat.
You're gonna talk about those little fish, aren't you?
Dave gets really grossed out by sardines, but I fucking love them. So I do have sardines,
Knew
by
you were gonna talk
myself. When
about
I'm
those.
working from home on my own, I will have some sardines and crackers, and I like them. But I do enjoy every once in a while a thing of canned corned beef. Just saying. I know. I know. I know.
I'm gonna get my Yuka app and scan that can
Don't,
of
because I
corned
already
beef and
know that
see
it's
what it
probably
says.
crap. Now, I think canned corned beef is different from Spam, though. I don't know what Spam is. I think it's like a canned ham or something.
It's
Yeah,
ham.
and I don't like ham.
It's like
So,
it's the Pringles of ham because it's all like how
yeah.
Pringles are like chips, but they're like somebody chewed them first, spit them out, and then they made them into a chip mold?
Yes.
That's what Spam is to me. That's what Spam it's like it's mashed and then squished in that
You've
can.
just ruined Pringles for me. You have just ruined Pringles,
The only thing Pringles are good
is the
for
taste.
is you need to have chips when you're
Yeah.
traveling, then they will stay in your luggage in one piece
Yeah, because they
mostly.
come in a can, and they're very highly flavored, right? They tend to have a lot of flavor, but
Yes.
I agree with you. The texture of them is definitely, you can tell that they're not a genuine slice of potato, right? It's like a mix of potato mash.
Pre-chewed
It's
chips.
okay. I don't think there's someone at a factory chewing the chips and then spitting them out so that they can mold them into the shape of a Pringle. Pretty
I
pretty
100%
confident.
think that's what's
No, I'm pretty
happening.
confident that I'm right on this one, but we'll see. Let's write Pringles and check it out. Maybe they'll give us some free
It's like
samples.
it's like they take all of the, chip or the potato particles off the factory floor from making other potato
Yeah,
products. They sweep it all up into this machine that just mashes it up, and that's how they make
yeah,
Pringles.
yeah.
I guess we won't, wait and rely on some kind of big corporate sponsorship from
Pringles.
Pringles now, eh?
Well, you're the one who said I was actually defending them. They can put me on the payroll. That's totally fine.
They can put you on the
Listen,
payroll,
I'm
okay,
about to
fine.
pack my bags and move to Africa anyways, to this country that's going to idolize me. So, hopefully, I'll get internet access and we can still continue to do this podcast from there.
Okay, that would be
Yeah.
great. I think I'm gonna move to Japan and be mindful.
Yeah, and then I'd like to come visit you, but I probably won't fit on the plane anymore, so I can't, so you'll have to come visit me. I don't know, CeeLo. One of these days, we'll get it right.
Oh, too
That was
funny.
funny. Well,
Right.
interesting
I
chat.
have to go shovel
Yeah, you
again
go
for the
you
3rd
you go
time.
shovel. I have a
It
snowblower.
was lovely
Yeah,
chatting
you
with
too,
you.
you too. Alright, CeeLo, we'll talk to you soon.
You
Bye.
got it. Thanks for taking a seat at the table today. We love our dinner guests.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow The Dinner Agenda on the podcast platform you use so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Dinner Agenda.
We look forward to hearing your comments, questions, and even ideas you may have on future episodes.
Thanks for taking this journey with us.